What is up guys, SK here, and today we are going to take a look at the patch notes in the new segment on the channel called What the Fix. So of course you know today was the day that we got the 4 new classes, being the Lawn, the Dark Knight, the Striker, and the Musa. As you can see in the video, I'm playing the Dark Knight. I've never played the Dark Knight before, so it's a whole new class for me. Along with adding these 4 classes, they've also added Node Wars and Conquest Wars to the game, which I know is super exciting because a lot of people have been restless and waiting for some actual PvP. I'll post a link in the description for the Node Wars and Conquest Wars guides for you guys that don't understand or don't know what the Node Wars systems is, but you run a guild. They've also thrown in some balancing changes, which are kind of extensive to list, but I'll throw a link in the description so you guys can check those out for yourself. The main things that they put in there though is that they've modified the basic attacks for all the original 6 classes, giving them more practicality at later stages. They've also given the classes bonus AP and DP. It's only +1 at level 56 and +1 at level 60. So it's not that big of a difference unless you know you're a min-maxer. I would say there are a few things worth mentioning in this section. One is the super nerf to sorceresses. They pretty much nerfed them into the ground by taking off the forward guard while Dark Flame is on cooldown. And that's made a lot of people very unhappy, and they feel like sorceress is now useless and a life skiller until awakening. Alternatively, they've also made rangers stronger by buffing their bow skills and their evasive shots, which, yeah, that's just not going to be fun at all. And now Witch and Wizard have their 10 DP buff whenever they use teleport, so that's something good at least. Stepping away from the depressing side of things, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Family Fame Fund, which they've added. And I didn't think they'd add this so soon, just because of the fact that, you know, it's really soon to be adding this, to where players are going to have a lot of silver if they've, you know, done so many things in the game. So the Family Fame works like this. The combat and life skill are pretty much self-explanatory. The special fame though is a culmination of your knowledge and contribution points. So the higher you rank in these brackets, the more money you're going to get, and each bracket adds together. So the higher you are in your combat and your life and your fame, they're going to add together, and you're going to get a chunk of silver in your inbox every day during the daily reset time. It's pretty simple to explain and get. It's just level characters, do your life skill on multiple characters, and go ahead and get your contribution up, and you should be able to catch a lot of money every day. And I'm pretty sure they're going to do it how I did it on PC, to where if you miss a day, you're going to get that accumulated with the next day that you log in. So say you miss 7 days, you're going to get 7 days worth of silver in your inbox the next day you log in. So the life skill portion of the patch notes are my favorite part of the patch notes. They made it so where it's easier to gain horse skills and increase stats of horses based on your training level. They've also made it to where that when you trade fish, you no longer have to have the nodes connected to get the maximum amount of money. So you can now take fish from Velia to Trent and not have to worry about having the nodes connected. So I'm going to be AFK fishing a lot. I still wish that they put in the damn seal stones, but I guess we're still going to be waiting for that. The other big thing people have been asking for are fences. When it comes to fences, they want to be able to send their workers to fences to do their pruning and stuff. Now you can do that. Just remember, the only problem with that is that you're not going to get any sharp black stones or hard black stone crystals whenever you do this. So when you send your workers there, you're not going to get any of that extra stuff, but you will get your materials that you want to get. So remember that when you're, you know, sending that stuff out there, and don't go complaining that, oh, I'm not getting hards and sharps for my workers pruning for me. That's not how it works. They're not going to give you something that easy to do. And then the last part is my absolute favorite part, because a lot of people have been asking me, how do I make this? How do I make this? Do you know the ingredients to this? We now have production notes in the game, to where if you press start, it's at the bottom right option. It's the bottom right option on the screen on the second to last row. It's called production notes. You go into it, and this shows you everything that can be made in game at the moment. It shows you everything that can be done. It shows you where to get materials. It shows you what nodes you need to connect to get these certain materials, or what nodes you need to send workers to. It shows you everything: cooking, alchemy, processing, everything. And this is just one of my favorite adds to the game, because it makes you less reliant to having a computer around, which is just a good thing for me and some other people that don't actually have a computer actively right next to them. So that is a very huge positive, and I'm very happy they added that. So the next thing they added is the guild changes, and the guild changes, they're going to cover a few things when it comes to guild payouts that have been added. So where you need to have at least 30 members in your guild to distribute funds. This is going to make it so that your guild leader can send out payouts easier to people in the guild. Now they did change a few things on guild missions, which one of them kind of has me worried, because it's going to invite a lot of PvP to guild missions, which can lead to guild missions not being completed. So they made it to where guild quests aren't distributed to one guild at a time. That means any guild on that server can have the same mission as you, which to be honest can invite a lot of PKing and griefing and just crap that people don't want to deal with when they're doing guild mission. But they're also stating that they made guild missions easier, as well as making it possible for members to get individual contribution rewards for participating during the guild quest depending on their contribution. They've also added a new rank to the guild, being the apprentice rank. So when people join the guild now, they will be an apprentice for the first 2 weeks, and then after those 2 weeks are over, they'll be upgraded to a full member. During these 2 weeks, they can still participate in Node Wars, Conquest Wars, and guild missions, and receive payouts, purchase guild materials, and use guild skills, just like general members. So I don't see what the reason is to separate them now. I'm not really sure about that. Next up is the general character change. In this, they just did a bunch of quality of life stuff. They made it easier to get on your horse. They made the time that it takes to get on your horse shorter. They've changed it to where when you're jumping, you'll be able to jump and remain in combat mode when jumping off a wall. They made it to where when you're jumping and vaulting, that the animation is more fluid. They've also done some work on the camera motion when sitting and standing to make it seem less, and this is in their words, janky. They've also taken away the cheering effect from picking up some of the more common items, which I'm happy they did that because it stops you in the middle of one of your moves and it screws up your entire rotation, and it can possibly get you killed, I've noticed. And now we're moving on to monster changes. With monster changes, they've done a little bit. They've made it so that the crabs, the grassback and stoneback crabs, have more HP, so they're more like boss monsters now. Not really. They're just a little bit harder to kill now, and this is probably affecting all the stoneback crabs from Calpheon to Media. They've also nerfed the HP on Karuto amulets and the wooden totems. I don't know why that was important. On to the quest changes. Once again, they've seemed to want to move the starting area, so we're now starting at where the ancient stone chamber used to be. I say used to be because they've dug up the entire ancient stone chamber. It's no longer there. That being said, you also can't get the ancient stone chamber knowledge from the same place. You're gonna have to go to Igor Bartali and Velia and just talk to him to get those knowledges. They've also changed the way you interact with the bosses for the storyline. You now interact with a dark portal instead of having to use a summon scroll, which I guess makes it a lot easier, at least in the case of failing to kill the boss and having to try again. Well, something awesome that they've done for item changes is that they've removed the time limit on scrolls for the Imp Captain, Goblin Chief, Altar Imp, Monastery Boss, Dim Tree, Frightening Witch, and Malgula scrolls. They've also made the scrolls stackable so they're not using that much space in your inventory. So yay, now you have more room for other stuff that you don't want to hold in your inventory. They've also went ahead and added the enhancement chance display so you can see what your chances are of actually succeeding your enhancement. And now weapons between enhancement levels 8 and 11 will give the same amount of number of black stones, as well as levels 6 through 10 on armor will give the same amount of black stones. And to top it all off, they've removed the ceiling cap on silver in your inventory. So now you can just walk around with all your silver if you want, because there is no weight on silver and you have no cap on how much you can carry on you. Congrats. Now, one of the biggest changes for this patch is the world boss time change. And that is the reason it's really big, because you get 2 world bosses every day except for Saturday, and on Wednesdays you don't get the world boss right after the maintenance. So every Wednesday that we have maintenance, we'll be missing out on a world boss, and we only get 1 world boss that day. But yeah, other than that, these are the time zones that you're gonna be raiding if you want to get a Xarka, and if not, then sorry. So if you look at my screen, this is in the other changes section. I'm not gonna pull that up, but if you look at my screen, my game looks a lot brighter. That's because they've added the gamma slider changer. So if you go into your settings, go under display, you can actually find the gamma slider and actually move it all the way to the left, and your screen will be bright as hell. And at nighttime, I won't even see my nighttime anymore. And that's so useful because the autonomous flies do jack shit. I'm sorry to say it, they do nothing at all. They've also added a news section under the start menu, so you can actually go ahead and read the patch notes through that instead of having to pull it up on a computer or your phone. And then they went ahead and did a ton of bug fixes. We're not going to go ahead and go through all those because there are a lot of bug fixes. I haven't tried to do the quest for the dim magical armor yet, so I don't know if they fixed that. So we're going to go ahead and try that out later, and if they have, then I'll update you guys in the community tab. If they haven't, then I'll update you guys in the community tab either way. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Pass it around. Hopefully this has helped you guys, find out some things that you didn't know about the patch notes. I mean, it's not really that helpful. All I did was read off of the patch notes and give my opinion on what it was. But yeah, so I'm going to snap back to the class balance changes, because I failed to mention that Zerkers actually got nerfed with their elastic force. And this probably has something to do with a 333 gear score Zerker killing a 400 plus gear score Ranger. Peace.